Hey Facebook gang, it's Bob bringing you Positive Vibes sesh number, 142 maybe. It's been a long time, so I've done a couple of videos with a different spin. Tried to show creativity, tried to show getting into keeping my mind active in different ways, passing time in a different way. With the recent events, I've been reflecting quite a lot as I've chosen the word inspire for 2021 to be my focus. It's taken a lot more effort to really be mindful of what I want to share and how I want to share it. I had a video that I was going to share, clips of what had happened at the Capitol from inside the building, and I had typed up a very long paragraph that I was going to provide some commentary just for some introspective thought for others to think through. And then I deleted it and rewrote it, and deleted it again, and edited and rewrote it. And then I realized that it just wasn't in keeping with my target, my goal, my aim in trying to inspire others. While I think it's important, and while I think that it is something that we all, each individually, need to reckon with, and probably as a country in many different ways, as I reflected on what I was watching and what I was thinking about what I wanted to say, I came back to my roots, my particular practice, my Buddhist practice, and the foundations, some of those fundamental beliefs that suffering is universal and that suffering is caused by desire, that there are common to all of us in that suffering, the three poisons known as ignorance, greed, and hatred. The great thing for me about that tradition is that each one of those were prescribed an antidote. So the antidote to greed is generosity. The antidote to hatred is compassion. And the antidote to ignorance is wisdom. Right now, it seems a lot of people feel like they may have a lock on what wisdom is, what truth is. I have heard the word truth thrown around quite a lot, and there seem to be all of these different competing truths. So I just ask us to be really mindful of, and for me in the tradition, there's a very prescribed way of what wisdom means and how to get there through meditation, through mindfulness, through the investigation of the process of the mind and what it goes through, the things that it attaches to, the perspectives and lenses through which we look at the world, the things we want and desire, and when that desire is unmet, when there's disappointment in our expectation or the thing that we are attached to is lost, it creates those feelings, those reactions to the poisons that are causing that suffering. And so I would just encourage us, even if you're not a Buddhist, even if you don't practice those principles in that way, that we maintain mindfulness and that we work on and practice mindfulness, that we, regardless of your traditional religious background, that ignorance exists, hatred exists, greed exists. The antidotes to those things are still universally wisdom, generosity, and compassion. So I just ask that we take a moment to reflect before we have a conversation, before we speak, before we criticize, before we post, before we share, before we call someone out. This really, I meant it the other day when I said it, that the only way for me to get through all of this is love. I see people, canceling one another on all sides. And, again, I think that is, in many ways, that's demonstrating a lack of mindfulness about our feelings and how we got there. I don't mean how we got there like, this is what happened last summer, or this is what happened yesterday. I mean how we individually, in our minds, got there, how we came to the conclusions that we came to, the feelings that we have, and we examine the things like desire, like attachment, like ignorance, hate, greed. And I suspect that for many of us, particularly when we're impassioned and angry, that those are projected, those ideas are projected at others. Those people are greedy, those people are hateful, those people are ignorant, when I think it's true for all of us. my personal belief. I believe it's true for all of us. I believe we all carry that in us. And I think we all have the capacity to heal those things in ourselves, but not while we're not doing the work, not while our energy is focused externally on someone else and calling out somebody else for their hatred, for their greed, for their ignorance. I know there's a great sense of wanting to bring awareness to it, to shed light on somebody else's ignorance, shed light on somebody else's hatred, shed light on somebody else's greed. And those are all the reasons why we're in the predicaments that we're in today. And I suggest to you that while I live in reality and I understand that there are opposing sides and they disagree, I suggest that there is a very enormous lack of our own introspection, our own responsibility in that, our own participation in ignorance, greed, and hatred. And if we start there, if we really start on working on that and spend our energy trying to work through that ourselves, doesn't mean the rest of the world doesn't move on, doesn't mean that somebody else might gain some advantage because they're not focused on improving themselves, but I'm suggesting to you that that's where the work happens. So again, I ask you to be mindful, to be thoughtful before you do those things, and think about the consequence, think about the effect, who it benefits. Is it really helpful? And really getting back to trying to love one another as human beings, to recognize the suffering in each other's condition and find a way there. This is a little bit heavier than I was expecting for some of my positive vibe sessions to be, but I think it's an important one. It's important for me to exercise it because I need to remind myself before I post anything else, before I laugh at another meme, before I, make the, hey, it's too soon comments because I'm uncomfortable. I haven't sat with it. And I just get swept up in it. I need to be really mindful about how I participate in this and what I give out to the world, what I allow in, what I allow to take up refuge in my mind. So hopefully this is beneficial for those of you that might be on the fence, for those of you that are just struggling or even know that you're in it and know that you're in the swept up in the emotion. If you just need an out, if you just need a hand to rescue you from that stream for just a few minutes, from you having to tread water or swim against it, I want to offer that to you. I want to be a place where somebody can listen to you and know that it comes without judgment. I'll make my own judgments, but I want to get to a place where we're listening to one another, where we're really hearing what others have to say, even if we disagree wholeheartedly, 100% disagree. I think the only way that this gets fixed is we sit and listen, and then we engage in a dialogue, and maybe in very small increments. Maybe we only take and bite off small chunks of that. Might be 30 seconds at a time, and we go, hey, that was a great 30 seconds. We're not going to solve it all immediately, but I think if we all can continue to start doing the work and focus in here, focus on us, focus on ourselves individually and our participation in that, I think we can make some progress. So I hope you're all well. I hope that you all love one another each and every day. And I just want to express gratitude for the opportunity to, be motivated to talk to you all again. And hopefully we can keep these coming and maybe lighten them up a little bit. But we got some serious issues on our hands. And, I want to see you all on the other side of that. I want us all to be together through this and on the other side of it once we get there. So cheers, everybody. Talk soon.